Cooking with Glenn and Katie.
We have got to show you guys our new embroidered aprons. They are absolutely phenomenal, and we received them as gifts from some fantastic friends, Chuck and Gina. Chuck was actually a special guest on one of our more recent episodes about charcuterie boards, and Gina actually embroidered our names on these aprons so we can use them for the rest of the year and all the way into 2021 and beyond. So Chuck and Gina, thank you so much. We love them.
I'm gonna be making a fruitcake today. It's my very favorite. In fact, for years and years, that's what I asked for my Christmas present to be. 2 years ago, I took over cooking it, and both years it turned out wonderful. And so I decided to cook it for today. Let you see how I cook it, the one that I make this year. And so I'm ready to get started.
Yeah, and Dad, this fruitcake they're going to be making today is a light fruitcake. Is that right? Because there's a light versus a dark, and so some people make dark fruitcakes. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, let's get started.
Okay, let's do it. Years ago, my sister-in-law's mother, Virginia Kretschmer, gave us this recipe. And it was for a light fruitcake, and she gave us another recipe for a dark fruitcake. But I love this one. Look how old it is. I bet it's probably about 45 years old. So I treasure it. I've taken the recipe and it's in our cookbook. So let's get started. I'm going to start with some of the wet ingredients, and I'm going to put them in a big container, and I'm going to blend them up before I add anything else. So let me start. I have 6 eggs. So I've cracked 6 eggs. These are large eggs. I have 2 sticks of butter, or 1/2 pound of butter, and it's softened. Put this in here. I have 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavoring. And finally, for this part, I've got 2 1/4 cups of sugar, 2 1/4 cups. So I'll put all this together. And I've got my mixer here, and I'm going to blend all this together. These ingredients are mixed up. Notice it's in a big container. It's the top of a cake taker because there's a lot of ingredients that will go in here, and you don't want anything to splash out. I have 4 cups of sifted flour. I put a couple cups back into the sifter because I need to sift with the flour cinnamon. And this is 1 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm going to put this in here. And then I have 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I took a nutmeg and ground it to make this. And finally, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to put this kind of in the middle here. I'm going to take a spoon and kind of stir it up so when I sift it, it will kind of all sift together in here. And now I'm going to just go ahead and sift it. So here we go. When I was a little kid, I loved to sift. Mom would let me sift because I thought it was the neatest thing to be able to see all the flour go through. And back then, you really needed to sift the flour because it was not pre-sifted when you buy it. Right now, it's pretty much pre-sifted, but I do this anyway. So now it's mixing everything together. And there we go. Now, since I didn't put all the flour in it, I'm just going to kind of mix it up, kind of blend it up this way so it's all the dry ingredients are mixed together. Now I'm going to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. I'm kind of spread this all over the top. batter is very thick now, and it's all mixed together. Now that the batter is mixed up, we've got all the goodies to put in it. Let me show you a few of these. These are pecans. Some years we use pecans. In fact, I remember the years I used to go around the neighborhood. We live on Pecanwood Road and there's lots of pecan trees around. So I used to pick these and bring them home and shell them, but not this year. I decided to use some English walnuts, and these are great in there. So you can use pecans or you can use English walnuts. And now it's time for the fruit. I use a pound of golden raisins. Since this is a light fruit cake, I like the light raisins. And I've got some here. I've already got a pound ready to go into the cake. Got some candied fruit. This is red cherries, and I use a pound of red cherries. I've got green cherries that I don't really add to it. I just have it for the top of the fruit cake. And then I've got some pineapple. I add a pound of pineapple. These are 8-ounce containers, so it takes 2. But don't forget to get your art supplies. You've got to have your art, because you're going, on the top of the fruit cake, you're going to put some candy to make it look pretty. Let me show you what I did. Now again, you do this before you mix it in. Don't forget. So make sure you have some little containers. You want a container that has whole cherries in case you use those, half cherries. These are quarter cherries, which I'll probably have put for greenery. And then finally, you get some beautiful whole walnuts or beautiful whole pecans, but you want them whole because this is going to be the very top of the fruit cake. Now, if you decide you don't want to buy all that, you just want to buy one container, it's a bit cheaper. You can buy fruitcake mix, and it's got everything in here, and you just buy one container. I think this one container was like $6 or $7. It's not very expensive. I just washed my hands because I know I may have to mix this up with my hands. I'm not sure, but I think I may do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add all the fruit in here. I'll start with the raisins. And I've already broken them up so they're not clumped together. So I will put those in and mix it just a little bit. And then I'm gonna put all the cherries in here. Like I said, I need to use my hand because it's kind of sticky and all. And now I'm gonna add the pineapple. And finally, I'm going to add the 24 ounces of nuts. So again, that was a pound of cherries, a pound of pineapple, a pound of raisins, and a pound and a half or 24 ounces of nuts. Now I know I could mix it with a spatula, but that's just not going to work. So I've washed my hands really well, and I'm just going to get in here and mix. While I'm mixing this, I realized that I didn't tell you that I use all-purpose flour. This cake does not rise very much, and once you see it put in the pan, you can say there's no way it needs to rise anymore. Let me tell you about the pans. You need a tube pan, which is a pan that has this lifting out, and it needs to be a 10-inch, 10 across here, and 4 inches high. So this is a standard pan. This is a standard size. Now, I've already put aluminum foil on this pan, and I just lined everything. So you want to put aluminum foil so you can peel it off at the very end when you take it out. Now I need to lift this into the pan. So I just get a handful and I drop it in. This is messy. Just get another handful and drop it in. You do this and you push it down. You do this until you have all the batter in the pan. Here's the fruit cake. It's all put in here. And now I'm going to put it in the oven. The oven is at 275 degrees. And I will cook it for 2.5 hours. And then I'll take it out and decorate the top. And then I'll put it back in for 30 more minutes. And then it'll be done. It's been 2.5 hours. So I'm going to take the fruit cake out. And then I can decorate it. Excuse me. There we go. This morning I looked at the fruit cake that I made last year and the year before last, and now I can design one for this year. I'll show you what I need to do. The first thing is I'll be taking some Karo syrup. Light corn syrup is what you need to use. And then I'm going to take a paintbrush, pastry brush, whatever this is, and I'm going to dip it in here, and I'm going to coat the top of this real well with Karo syrup. This makes it sticky, so the fruit that I put on here will stick onto it, and it'll also make a really pretty, nice glaze on the top. Notice that the cake did not rise any. This cake does not rise. It's about the same height as it was when we made it. And now I'm going to be creative. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these walnuts. I'm going to place them right here. I like to make them kind of the same on both sides. I put one there. It's just kind of fun to be able to create. Put one here. And I'll put one over here on this side here. I don't have to use all of them. I've got more than I probably needed. And then I'm going to put some, let's see, I'll put some cherries right there, right in the very center of each one of these walnuts. I'm going to be putting the half of a cherry. And then for each one of the cherries, I'm going to put a couple leaves on here. These are with green cherries. Okay, now I can just leave it at that, or I can add some other designs to it. I think what I'm going to do is, I like color, so I think I'll put, I got 4 more pieces. So I put one here, one here, one here, and one right here. Because I think it's pretty. It'll give some pretty color to it. And then I'll just put a piece of a cherry on top here. So you see it gives it a pretty top. I think that's about where I need it to be. I'm going to take this and put it back in the oven for 30 more minutes. And there it is. Look how pretty that is. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to take it out for the last time. You can see it's a light fruit cake, and it's got the decorations on it, and they are firm in here. So when it solidifies a little bit more, they will not come out. And I'll wait until it cools all the way, which means it'll be an hour or 2. Look at this beautiful fruit cake. I let it sit. It took about 2 hours to cool off. And then I peeled all the aluminum foil off and I put it in a cake taker and just pulled it out this morning, and I put on a pretty plate, and now we're gonna taste it.
Yep. So I'm ready. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Let's do it.
Dad's gonna go ahead and slice the slices for us, and we'll show you what those look like and let you know how it tastes. Dad, since you made it, how about you go ahead and take the first bite?
Okay, I assure you it's good. I don't have to taste it, but I will. Look how pretty this slice turned out.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm like a little kid. I had to get the cherry on top. You know, I didn't have a blank piece. I had to get it a real pretty piece. You know, like kids get a lot of ice in, I've got a lot of candy cherries, candy fruit on the top. And now I'm gonna taste it.
Sounds like it has a good consistency.
Absolutely the best fruitcake I've ever tasted. This particular one, every year it turns out perfect. I love the nut crunch. You probably could hear that. And I had a piece of pineapple and a little piece of cherry. So every bite's different because you don't know what fruit you're going to be putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, well, I'm excited to try it then. So, as you can tell, I got dipped a little bit on the outer portion. You know, he took the cherry. But it couldn't be more beautiful of a display on the side of the slice. So, no matter how you slice it, everyone's going to get a beautiful piece on their plate. I'm going to go ahead and try. I've got some cherries and pineapple in here. Let's go ahead and see. Oh, it looks so good. Mmm. That is fabulous. It's sweet. And you can taste the walnuts, which are very good. You can still taste the cake as well. It's an extremely moist, although it's dense, it is very moist. It's a moist, dense cake with several different textures, from the walnuts to the pineapple, the cherries, and then the actual cake batter. So it's a wonderful medley of textures and flavors when you try a bite. And you can also tell the spices that were added, the nutmeg and different things that we added in, or the dad added in. This is fantastic, Daddy. I love it.
Yeah, and you talked about it being, it's not dry.
No.
And that's one reason when I store it, I cut an apple in half and put apple in there.
Makes
I think
sense.
it kind of increases the humidity inside there and makes it so it doesn't dry out. Well, Katie, what did you think?
It was absolutely phenomenal. Not only was it a fairly simple recipe, but it was tasty as well. So thank you, Dad, so much for sharing that with me. And we hope that you guys will try it. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. If you have any comments or thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. So make sure to comment below. And we will see you guys next time.
See ya.